Eva opens the trunk of her car and takes out a huge bag. She carries to the door of a client's house and knocks just in time for her appointment. As she does her job and gives an old man a massage, he gives out a large exhale, unknowingly disturbing Eva with his bad breath. Another one of her clients, Cynthia, rants about the most tedious and annoying things while getting a massage, which breaks the whole purpose of relaxing. For her third appointment, she carries her heavy equipment bag up a flight of stairs while her client, a young man, casually greets her without even offering to help. At the end of her day, Eva is doing her makeup, so her teenage daughter Ellen asks where she is headed to. Eva replies that she's getting ready to go to a party with Sarah and Will to keep them company. She invites Ellen to tag along too, because she wants to spend as much time with her daughter as possible before she leaves for college. Eva is in the back seat of Sarah and Will's car, who are complaining about an incompetent maid they accidentally hired, but none of them have the guts to fire her. Sarah struggles with firing people, so she expects Will to do it, who believes that she should grow up and do it herself instead. Eva brings the attention to herself to end the obnoxious debate, and Sarah gets annoyed when Will compliments her. They finally make it to the party, hosted by a successful and very social couple, where the husband is a book editor, and the wife is an interior designer, which is why their house is filled with guests. Sarah sees the potential of finding some single men among the guests for Eva, but she's not in the mood for it. Sarah notices one of her patients at the party, and ignores Eva when she insists on being introduced to them. Eva spots another lady she frequently sees at the gym, Hillary, and walks over to her to socialize. Hillary introduces Eva to another friend of hers, Marion, and compliments how incredible Eva is at her job of being a masseuse. Hillary abruptly leaves to find a bathroom, leaving the two women alone, and Eva makes a remark about how put together Marion's whole outfit looks. Marion reciprocates Eva's politeness, and they get to talking. Marion shares that she is a poet. Eva returns to Will and points to Marion, showing him that she might have scored a new client who looks clean, seems nice, and funny. Eva is sure that there isn't any man at this party that she might be attracted to, and covers herself up with a shawl when two old men, Jason and Albert, approach them. Both of Jason's kids have left for college, while Albert has one leaving in the upcoming fall, just like Eva. On the drive back home, Eva is in the passenger seat, with Will driving and Sarah in the back, as she caters to Will's awkward questions about how guys' bodies react when getting massages. Her friends drop her back home, and she checks in on her daughter, quietly asleep in her bedroom. She sits beside her on the bed and stares lovingly at her daughter, who will soon leave the nest and fly away to college. Eva drops Ellen and her friend Chloe at school, while savagely correcting the behavior of an obnoxious student named Maddie Price. She arrives at Marion's house next, for a massage she's scheduled. She takes off her shoes and socks at Marion's request, and starts setting up her table, while Marion makes her a glass of iced tea. Marion leaves Eva to look around her really pretty and cozy home while she changes for her massage in her bedroom. When Eva is done with the massage, she starts packing up the table while Marion confides in her about how the recent guy she's dating has no sense of humor, even though he's sweet. On Marion's inquiry, Eva mentions that she is a divorcee of 10 years who is not really on friendly terms with her ex, except for the fact that they share a daughter. But other than that, Eva shared nothing in common with the guy, which is something Marion can totally relate to, as she was also very incompatible with her ex. Eva starts loading her equipment in her car, while Marion mentions that she'll call her again soon for another session, and offers her some chervil she cut fresh from her garden. Eva is video chatting with Sarah about the fact that she has no idea what chervil is, and she is in awe about how perfect Marion's house and body are. Sarah brings up Albert, who asked Will for Eva's number after meeting her at the party, which Eva finds funny, because they both agreed on the part that they didn't find each other attractive. Eva doesn't really know how to respond, because Albert is sort of fat with a big belly, which is a turn-off for her. Sarah hangs up on the call when she gets a patient, right before Eva makes a dark joke about how Sarah's patients might harm if she won't help them on time. Eva is out for dinner with Albert, and has to wait in line at the restaurant to get a table, even though Albert swears that he made a reservation. She finds out that Albert works at the American Library of Cultural History, which is basically a collection of television history, which is useless to Eva, because Albert doesn't know about any recent programs that they can talk about. They both laugh about how intolerable they find some reality TV shows, and Eva is awkwardly abrupt in her jokes, which is unlike Albert, who is very composed and calculated when it comes to what he says. Albert reveals that he was divorced 4 years ago, and it wasn't really mutual. Eva jokes that she should talk to his ex-wife to get a quick and easy explanation of all his flaws, so that she'd be able to decide if he is worth it or not. Albert doesn't mind her jokes, and doesn't feel insecure about accepting some of his flaws. He is a slob, and has ear hair. His daughter stays with him half the time, and sometimes gets aggravated by how messy he is, because she herself is very neat like her mom. Albert's ex-wife and daughter love the Container Store, even though it sells them unnecessary stuff. Eva loves buying unnecessary stuff from that store too, and offers Albert to explore it, because they have some manly designs too, like shades of browns and cowboy designs, which makes Albert laugh. Albert goes on about his weird habit of separating the onion from his guacamole, which used to drive his ex-wife crazy, but Eva doesn't see a problem with this quirk. Albert notices that Eva has lovely hands, contrary to what he thought about her hands being big and muscular because she is a masseuse. Eva remains to be her unfiltered, crookedly funny self throughout the date, and Albert understands, appreciates, and reciprocates her humor perfectly, so they have a really good time. They go to a frozen yogurt shop after dinner, and while Albert doesn't hold himself back while picking out toppings for his cup, he expresses how bothered he is when people keep tasting flavors for such a small purchase. Eva tries to explain why people act this way, as Albert moves to the counter to pay for their cups and shows her a picture of his daughter. Eva is taken aback by how beautiful she is, and shows him pictures of Ellen too. Albert keeps fooling around with her as he asks Eva for money at the counter, even though he is paying. Albert's car is parked outside Eva's house to drop her off, and Eva feels giddy and warm because she had a really good time, just like Albert. They both keep smiling and looking at each other when Albert starts to lean in towards her, but she clearly states that she isn't so sure about getting physical yet, so Albert backs off respectfully. She cordially shakes his hand while he boldly praises her body, making her flattered and blush at the same time. She comes back home, where Ellen and Chloe are watching TV on the couch and talking about some guy Chloe is with. Ellen tries to change the subject as soon as Eva takes an interest in it, but Chloe hesitantly shares her dilemma with Eva, who tries to help her as much as possible, even though Ellen wants her to stay out of it. The next day, Eva is out shopping with her daughter and wants the inside scoop on what happened to Maddie Price and why she acts the way she does now. Chloe blurts out that Maddie had a which made her believe that she is very cool, while Ellen tries to keep her privacy with her mother. Ellen steps out of the dressing room in a vibrant blue dress, and Eva gives her a supportive reaction, while also laughing at Chloe and her mom, who have stepped out wearing the same dress. Chloe is embarrassed by her mother, who is not acting her age and dressing appropriately like Eva, which probably means that she wants to outshine her. Eva is at her next massage session with Marion, and finds out that her non-humorous boyfriend isn't in her life anymore. Marion is curious about Eva's love life, so she shares the account of her very good and enjoyable first date last weekend. Eva starts talking about Albert without mentioning his name. She goes on about how funny he is, and how easy it is to hold a conversation with him, so much that it seems like they have known each other forever, which is strange because she initially didn't find him very attractive, but she enjoyed their flirtations on the first date. Eva low-key finds Albert sexy because of their chemistry. Eva drives to Albert's house next, with a bottle of wine in her hand, and rings the bell. Albert answers the door in his pajamas, because he wanted to be comfortable for Sunday brunch, unlike Eva who dressed up cutely. He invites her in and takes the wine bottle, planning to make them mimosas with it. Eva looks around his house and sees a woman's purse on the table, which belongs to Albert's daughter Tess. Albert bought her this purse for her 18th birthday, even though it was outrageously expensive. They start talking about Tess, who made Albert very proud, and is soon moving to New York for college. Albert admits that there is a part of himself who doesn't want to let Tess go, because he's scared of what the world might do to her, and Eva totally understands his insecurity and concern. She also has no idea about what her life will be like without Ellen, who is so ready to leave that she doesn't even want her parents to fly with her. Eva suggests that they should come up with hobbies to deal with this change in their life. Eva knows how to knit, so that's how she plans to spend the rest of her life, while Albert keeps thinking about how different it's going to be not to have Tess around, even if she was present only half of the time. Eva interrupts his confession by notifying him that she can clearly look inside his pants, because his pajamas flew open. Albert walks away, covering himself with his hands and apologizing in embarrassment. However, he can't help but get her opinion on whether she liked what she saw, and she agrees that he is quite healthy down there, before she sends him off to change his pants. They talk about why and how Albert's marriage failed. He and his ex-wife were very different, and she had no interest in sleeping with him, which led him to believe that she had an affair with someone else. His ex-wife didn't like his job, and they didn't agree with each other's parenting styles. Eva picks out the overgrown weeds from his backyard, while realizing how similar things were with her ex-husband too. Eva takes off her shoe because she got a blister, and senses that Albert is probably freaked out or grossed out about it. He does have a problem with people's feet because of his mother. Eva covers her foot, realizing this is why people get pedicures, while Albert gets up to fetch a band-aid for her blister. They start discussing Eva's job, and Albert seems very interested in knowing if Eva's ever hit on. She offers to give him a massage sometime, and he takes her up on her offer with the promise to hit on her. He wraps his arm around her shoulder as they sit on the grass in his backyard, and they share a kiss, which makes them both giddy. Eva sips on her mimosa as she reaches out from the bed she's lying in with Albert. While Eva kept her eyes closed for most of the time they made love, to make them both comfortable, Albert really saw her and found her beautiful. As they lie together, they feel comfort in the fact that they don't have to be funny or charming anymore, and can just be themselves. Eva spills the details of her Sunday date with Sarah later, obsessing over how amazing the sex was. Eva is surprised to see that the maid Kathy, Will, and Sarah were arguing about the other day through such an emotional tantrum that Sarah rehired her after firing her. Will still wants this to be a learning experience for Sarah, so that she can fire Kathy again. Albert is peeking into Eva's mouth, as he is looking at wisdom teeth for the first time in his life, and notices how many fillings she has. When it's Albert's turn, Eva finds out that he's missing a tooth, as he couldn't pay for the expensive treatment of getting a new one. They're kissing in bed when Chloe walks in on them, as she has been searching for Ellen, who is at her father's house. She came over to have breakfast with Ellen, so Eva invites her to join her and Albert at breakfast anyways, where Albert impresses both Eva and Chloe with his TV knowledge. They all laugh and enjoy breakfast together. Eva goes on with her day of the usual massage appointments and clients with their different annoying habits, and meets Albert later at work. She takes an interest in his job, which he loves, and meets his co-workers. Albert later introduces Eva to Tess when they all meet up for lunch at a place Tess picks out. Tess acts condescendingly when she hears about Ellen's college, but Eva remains nice and polite to her. As Tess leaves with her friends as soon as lunch is over, Eva acts as comfortingly to Albert as possible. Even though Tess acted like a brat, Ellen hops into bed with Eva one evening and asks her about what Albert's daughter was like. Eva gives her honest opinion about Tess, that she was awful and snobby. They discuss various things, until Eva starts to sweetly annoy Ellen like parents do, so she leaves, but they both know the type of bond they share is irreplaceable. Eva contentedly gives a massage to Marion, as life is good to her. She reveals that she finds her middle-aged relationship comfortable and sexy to Marion over iced tea. This reminds Marion of her ex, who wanted her to accept his belly and quirks, but she was repulsed sexually by him, because he was clumsy and bad in bed. Marion gives Eva the last copy of her poetry book, as their massage sessions are coming to an end now, but Marion wants them to remain friends. Marion mentions her ex's hatred of onions, and how he used to separate them from guacamole, which shocks Eva. Marion's sick daughter calls out for her, and Eva spies on her to see that she is none other than Tess, which confirms her suspicion that Marion is indeed Albert's ex-wife, and the man she is dating is her friend's dreaded ex-husband. Marion looks for Eva to introduce her to Tess, but Eva hides, and comes back out only when Tess is gone. Eva rushes out of her house at the first opportunity she gets, trying to wrap her mind around the ill-fated piece of information she just discovered. Eva freaks out and rants about this to Sarah, but she has to leave to tend to a patient. Ellen and Chloe walk in, and Eva discloses her recent dilemma to them, as she had been picturing Marion's ex as a fat and irritating slob, who turned out to be the only man she genuinely likes after a long time. Chloe corrects her that Albert isn't like that, which astonishes Ellen, as she hasn't met Albert yet. The next time Eva meets Marion, she still doesn't let her know that she's dating Albert, because she wants to know more about him. Marion recalls that she tried very hard to feel attracted to Albert, but he'd always cheat on his diet and turn fatter. Two women approach Marion as her fans, which Eva finds very impressive. Eva continues digging for information about Albert, while also feeling guilty for taking advantage of Marion, as she just wants to blow off some steam and gossip about her negative experiences in her failed marriage. When Eva meets Sarah, she explains why she's keeping up with this, because Marion is a smart woman, so she could prove to be right about Albert. This shows that Eva is so influenced by Marion that she is trusting her judgment over her very own instincts. At their next date, Albert brings a rented car, as Tess's car is getting fixed, so she took Albert's. Eva notices how Albert's frame gets crammed in the tiny car, and how he likes his popcorn buttery when they go to the movies. She is also slightly annoyed by his habit of talking during the movie in the theater, even when people shush him. They're in bed later that night when Albert addresses his weight, even though Eva isn't making it an issue. He admits that sometimes he just ate to annoy Marion, and plans to lose some weight now. He also wheezes, which leads to Eva finding out that his nose has been broken so many times that it barely works now, and he'll get it fixed after his missing tooth. Albert conveys that Tess liked Eva, and she can come across as obnoxious sometimes, but she's a good kid. Albert adores Eva, and she feels the same way, regardless of everything. Eva gets a pedicure from Chloe when Ellen walks in and protests that Eva never let her paint her toenails until now. Marion has famous friends, and is seeing a hot guy, unlike Albert, who she finds truly pathetic in every way, which Eva doesn't agree with anymore. Albert later cooks her a meal and gives her a present, which really pleases Eva. Yet she faces trouble in sleeping with him, and realizes that he hoards oral hygiene supplies, so Marion's claims don't seem completely wrong either. Eva is at Ellen's graduation dinner, where Ellen's father Peter is also present with his second wife. The dinner opens Eva's eyes to how people aren't good or bad, just compatible or incompatible with each other. Someone who seems horrible to one person can look desirable to another. It only depends on one's preferences. Ellen and Chloe catch Eva knitting a blanket for Ellen, with old photo albums of her childhood photographs. While Ellen goes to her room after talking with Eva for a bit, Chloe stays back and judges Eva for still seeing Marion. Eva is at Marion's house when she witnesses her fighting with Albert on the phone over who gets to drop Tess off at school. Marion sounds extremely irritated by Albert and doesn't see him getting a girlfriend ever, so that means he will focus all his attention on Tess forever. Marion calls him a loser because he's not building a person like that, and no one would date a person like that. Hearing all this is obviously gut-wrenching for Eva, who keeps a straight face as the voicemail of Albert groveling plays on Marion's answering machine. Marion elaborates that Albert never understood her. This drives Eva to persuade Sarah and Will to go on a double date with her and Albert so that she can get someone else's perspective on him. Eva doesn't act like herself at the double date, and her behavior is reflective of Marion's opinions, which upsets Albert, but he doesn't want to be impolite to the hosts, who are also passively arguing, which shows how unhappy they are in their marriage. Things get worse at dinner, where Eva gets drunk and picks apart more flaws in Albert's personality, even though everyone doesn't find it funny anymore. Sarah confronts Kathy for doing a bad job, so she quits and storms out before Sarah can get the courage to fire her. Albert is upset with Eva for being mean and judgmental, so he drops her home instead of spending the night together. Eva comes home to find Chloe sleeping on her couch, even when Ellen is out with her friends, so she invites her to stay in Ellen's room once she's gone. Ellen gets mad when she sees Chloe and Eva cuddled up together, because she feels like Eva's already replacing her with Chloe. Eva tries to coddle Ellen and make up with her while she packs for college. Eva is at Marion's house, complimenting her poetry out of courtesy, when Tess comes up while Albert's waiting for her in his car outside. Eva pretends to recognize Tess, who instantly blows her cover, but Eva continues to play dumb. Albert also arrives at the scene, and is surprised to see that Eva is friends with Marion. Eva tries to recover from getting caught red-handed, but Albert can see through her lies, and leaves with Tess in disappointment. Eva gets home crushed, and Chloe is at her doorstep. But Chloe's mom gets there, snaps at Eva for no reason, and takes Chloe away. Eva comes over to Albert's house, who hasn't been returning her calls to rectify the situation. She was trying to protect herself, which is why she let Marion poison her perception of Albert and their relationship. She failed to protect their relationship and broke Albert's heart, which she is very sorry for. Albert blames her for making a fool out of him in front of Tess and turns her down. Eva leaves his house in tears and spends her days in distress over losing two loved ones together. She drops Ellen off at the airport with Peter and sobs her heart out on the way back home. She resumes her life, but makes little changes, which make her job a tad more bearable and pleasant. She's at Sarah's house for Thanksgiving and goes to pick up Ellen excitedly, but cries as she passes Albert's house. He spots her and they sit down to talk. They ask about each other's daughters and discuss how they've been dealing with separation anxiety. They can laugh about what happened now and seem to have fallen back into sync. It's evident that they missed each other because absence makes the heart grow fonder, so they seamlessly fall back into their middle-aged magical romance.